right.
Take us somewhere.
Welcome to the Macworld podcast. Everyone's in the studio today. Jason Cross, Leif Johnson,
Hey.
Hello, Roman.
our producer, Dan Masuoka.
It's good to be here.
So that ends our NPR tribute.
Seems kind of slow. Yes. No.
Before the show, we were talking about how Jason was doing his NPR voice.
Yes.
So we were all inspired to do an NPR tribute. So, but that's not what you're here to watch.
Not at all. No, you're here for action. Yeah,
So
no.
you're here because we're going to talk about iOS 12 and the new iPhones. But before we move on,
Dun, dun, dun.
I forgot to call out in my NPR haze that Dan Masuoka is checking our Twitter and YouTube feeds for your comments and questions.
How could you
About-
forget the most important
Yes,
man in the room?
I forget.
Yeah.
I was so much into NPR. So, but yeah. So if you guys have any comments or questions on the topics that we're talking about today, or about anything tech, Apple related, chime in. We like to hear your guys' comments and questions. It's a big part of our show. It makes the show a lot more fun. So let us know what you guys are thinking. So as everyone knows, unless you've been hiding in a cave or something like that, iOS 12 came out on Monday.
Yes.
So
And WatchOS 5 and tvOS 12.
not to be forgotten.
Yeah.
So
Hey, it's pretty great, actually.
It is
Yeah.
pretty great. Yes.
yeah. So and HomePod update.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah, that's an iOS update.
yeah. So but yeah, we thought we'd talk about iOS 12 to start with today. So any viewers or people listening want to share your experiences with iOS 12, let us know. What do you guys think?
Well, we have two comments.
Already?
Oh, already? Great.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, one person. Let's see. Where is it? I think it's on Twitter. Orly ordered both the XS and the iPhone Watch 4 or Series 4 watch.
Uh-huh.
Cool.
And then on YouTube, Mark says, "What happened with the live feed on the iPhone launch night?" And I just put facepalm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we weren't in the studio, we were doing all this at home because it's midnight.
Right.
Yes.
Getting all the people to Skype together and then getting that feed plus the audio from all the people
Uh-huh.
to out was a confusing challenge.
Yeah.
Like we could either get the audio for what Dan heard,
Yeah.
which was the three of us but not him, or we get the audio from his mic, which was him but not the three of us.
Right.
And getting it all combined and out in the same feed. Yeah.
Yeah,
It
and
did
then
not
getting
work
it to
out.
both Twitter and YouTube was the problem.
Yeah.
Eventually, we got it working to Twitter, where I just could not hear it except for like a 30-second delay.
It's kind of funny, actually.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah. So apologies for that. But if you joined us that evening or morning or wherever
Yeah.
you
Yes.
are.
Morning. Yes.
So, but yeah, we appreciate you guys sticking with us. And we did have some technical issues,
but
and
we
we
didn't
all-
get all of our phones.
we all
so-
ordered.
but we
Yes.
all were able to spend a lot of money that evening. So I still look at my online credit card bill and I go,
Oh God.
What was I
Yeah.
You set the record for the three of
That's
us.
crazy.
Yeah.
I can't even-
So, yeah. Well, so we'll get back to iOS 12. But since we're talking about ordering, we might as well talk about that experience. So what happened with me was I ordered an Apple Watch Series 4, but I had initially ordered it with the sports band, and I got up the next morning going, "Why did I order it with the sports band?
I'm not that
already
sporty.
have
Yeah, I'm not
sports."
that
Look
sporty.
At me.
I got the sporty
Yeah.
pad. Yeah, it's very sporty.
Yeah.
There's nothing sporty about this guy at all. And I already have two sports bands. I have the original one, and then I bought an extra large one. So I didn't need another sports band. So I went in and canceled that order and got the one with the sports loop,
Uh-huh.
which is, I guess, is the more mesh-like band,
Yes.
which I don't have.
Right.
So, and then the consequence of that is that I'm not getting my Apple Watch till October.
That's crazy.
So, like October 12th or something like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
And my one mishap is I sent it to my house instead of the office. So I'll be staying home at Friday, make sure somebody doesn't run off with it. Yes.
but otherwise, ordering went smoothly for everyone.
Much
right?
more smoothly than most years, I think.
Yeah.
There's that constant refreshing right at midnight to
Right.
see when the stores go up and they don't go up at the same time for everyone.
Yeah.
But once that happened, orders went through. People weren't like sitting there waiting on order screens. They
Yeah.
weren't like within 2 minutes getting like really delayed ship
Right.
dates or
Yeah,
anything.
yeah.
It seemed like either demand was low or they really kind of better predicted the amount
Right.
of demand and got the supply in place, and there's not a lot of like delay.
And we've talked about that before, where this isn't like some massive reimagining of the iPhone.
True.
So this was easy to get the supplies ready ahead of time and stuff like that. I
And
imagine.
I think
yeah.
there's more reason to wait than there was last year. I think last year,
Yes.
like
Right.
the iPhone 10, people who knew they wanted it waited. There wasn't a big mad rush for the 8, but there was for the 10.
Yeah.
This year, there's more reason for.
Right.
There's something coming in a month that some people want to wait and see,
Yeah.
which brings us to our poll.
Yeah. So our poll. Nice segue there, Jason.
Yeah, see how I did that?
So we asked on Twitter. I appreciate the segues. We asked on Twitter if people bought a new iPhone, which one did you buy? 22% bought the iPhone XS. 41%, an overwhelming majority, bought the iPhone XS Max.
Interesting.
20% are waiting for the iPhone XR. And this was interesting, I thought. 17% bought an iPhone 7 or 8 because now they're
They're cheaper.
cheaper now, which I thought was I didn't expect double digits on that.
No.
So
My dad's in that boat.
yeah,
He just is fed up with the amount of storage he has on
Yeah.
his 6S Plus, I think. And just he was like asking me, when do the new ones come out so I can get so the other ones could come cheaper?
cheaper
Because
and
I
I'll
don't
get
care about
those.
having the latest
Right.
thing.
yeah,
Well, it's funny because my parents, I was testing out the HomePod calls this morning for, but yeah, I was, Mom was wanting to know what she should upgrade to, and she has a 6 and stuff, and I was like, well, because she was kind of at the price of the 10s and
Yeah.
stuff, and I told her, well, the 7 and the 8 are actually a lot cheaper. She says, no, I'm not going to get something that's already out of date.
So she should wait for the 10R.
Right, I told her. That's
That's
what
the
I
one,
told her.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I told her to wait for the 10R.
Yeah.
Yes.
There were a number of people who responded on Twitter saying that they were. A few actually said they were disappointed that one of the answer choices wasn't the iPhone 10. So, and the thing is, you can't buy an iPhone 10
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah, you can't. It's
on
not which one do
Apple.
you have. It's
Right.
did you just buy one? What is it?
But yeah, well,
So-
I mean, it could have been. I have the iPhone 10 and I'm not upgrading.
Well, I think a
Right,
few
yeah.
people. I'm interpreting it as that's what they bought.
Mm-hmm.
But the iPhone 10 did not change in price, right? Or as far
it's
as we know.
eliminated.
Yeah, well, it's eliminated from Apple, but like I just
Yeah,
checked
third party.
T-Mobile, and you can pick it on T-Mobile.
Yeah,
site.
whatever's left,
left.
Right.
in from partners and carriers.
Yeah,
you
so
can
from
still
carriers,
buy.
I wonder if it's even in a refurb store. You can get a refurb.
But that's a good point. If
iPhone
they
10.
do have extra stock and they didn't lower the price, they're never going to clear that stock, right?
Yeah, is it
Yeah.
cheaper on T-Mobile? What's the price of a 10?
Well, the funny thing is, it says here full retail price is $1049, but I don't know which model that is. But then right next to it is the iPhone XS, full retail price $999.
Right.
So it's actually
Then
$50
That
more.
1049, that must be a 256 because
Yeah.
it's $50 less or something.
So the
I still wouldn't do it for $50.
T-Mobile has the XS tagged as a special offer, so there might be a promotional.
They have a promotion. They have
Yeah.
a $400
Oh yeah,
credit
or a
something
trade
like
up
that.
or something.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. So that might be why it's cheaper, at least at first blush, than the iPhone 10. So, but yeah, you might be able to find it on carriers, but I don't know.
Officially, it's game over.
Yeah, and I don't know if you'll get a significant price break if there is a price break on the iPhone 10.
Yeah.
So
It would have to be a pretty substantial price break for me to say, well, I'm getting the same phone with like not the better processor, not the better camera,
Right.
like not the better stereo sound. I mean, it's not like the 10s is a huge upgrade,
right.
but it's more than like $50 worth. I'm not going to buy last year's phone for $50.
Right.
For $55 different.
Yeah.
The same $50 I'm getting, I think $50 more than $50 less in value. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah,
it does.
exactly.
Yeah. So
So there's a question on YouTube saying, if they haven't pre-ordered it, when will it be available at actual Apple stores?
it's supposed to be available in Apple stores this Friday. Is that correct?
Yes.
But is that only for pre-orders? Like, do they have extra stock?
that will depend on your store.
Yeah.
Usually, when they say that it's shipping, that's the day that it appears in. When it arrives to you, that's the day.
It's technically in stores, and I think usually the way this works out is for a few weeks. You got to get there the morning they get a new shipment in.
Right.
Like if they get their shipments at your Apple store on a Tuesday mornings, you got to get there within an hour of when they get that shipment because they get 50 of them and they're all gone.
Yeah.
But they always do have a few just for people who didn't pre-order. If you want to go line up at your Apple store, I don't think there's gonna be big lines. But if you,
But some
but you
people
still
like
better get
doing the
there.
line thing.
Yeah.
Some people like it. It's part of they consider it part of the experience. So, and there's a camaraderie that they build. with
But
people
that'll
in
be
line.
the morning of this Friday,
Right.
and really, how much stock they have really is going to depend on capacities, colors, all that stuff.
Right.
They're probably not going to get a lot of the 512
Yeah.
gig ones in because that's not what people want
Right.
a lot. So, but that also might be your best chance to get one because not a lot of people are going to be snapping those up.
Yeah.
So, it's dicey to go buy them at Apple stores for a few weeks, and then sometimes your carrier is a better bet.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I don't even know, like, would going to like Best Buy be a better option?
The issue with Best Buy is just like the carriers. Best Buy only sells carrier locked phones now.
Or your carrier? Yeah.
You can
So-
always call your carrier and wait 24 hours to unlock it and all that
Right.
other stuff they have to do, but you have to get it,
It's locked to
with the
your-
SIM.
Yeah.
So you don't have to activate a new line, but you have to
Right.
buy your carrier
Right.
version. And I don't think they do Sprint. I'm not sure.
No,
I think
yes.
they only do AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sounds right.
So that's the only issue with that. And normally that the last couple of years, for at least a month or two, you couldn't get the carrier unlocked iPhones. It was only the
Right.
carrier locked ones, and then the unlocked one would go on sale in 4 to 6 weeks or something. This time, I got a carrier unlocked one, like on my pre-order.
Yeah.
You could even pre-order a carrier
Right,
unlocked one
right.
from the Apple Store.
Yeah.
So that's the advantage of the Apple stores. If you just want to just pay your full amount up front, not have monthly payments, not have
Yeah.
it locked, I'm going to slap my old SIM card in there.
Right.
That's Apple stores your bet.
Yeah. Yeah, and right now, or the last I checked yesterday, if you were to try to pre-order it now, you're not getting the phone until early October.
Okay.
So I haven't checked this morning as to what the
Yeah.
expected delivery time is.
And you kind of have to check all the colors and capacities.
Right.
Because they'll be a little
They
different.
vary.
They'll vary.
Yeah.
They'll delay.
Yeah.
And people are confirming Best Buy does do Sprint, but no T-Mobile.
Oh, it's the other
okay,
way.
that's the way it is.
That's strange.
That's what it is.
I would say.
Yeah. I knew there was one carrier they're not.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah. So we're supposed to get in, or I'm supposed to get in my phones this Friday in the office. So we'll be doing an unboxing live stream video.
Phones and watch, right? You got to watch?
Well, no,
the watch is delayed,
The
that's
watch
right.
is delayed, so I'm not going to do that. So, but I'll get the phones. So if you're interested in watching me doing an unboxing, check our Twitter feed because I don't know when the delivery happens.
Right.
So usually it happens in the morning, but it's always dependent on the FedEx guy.
Yeah.
So
Got a lot of iPhones to deliver.
yeah. And this time I'll be a little more direct to the point
Concise.
with the unboxing, concise. So
You'll start opening it immediately.
yes,
Yes.
No benchmark tests.
no benchmark test. We'll just do an unboxing and it'll be
Ooh.
And then
relatively quick.
and then a drop test, right?
You will
Sure.
immediately smash it on the
Yeah.
ground.
Yes,
Tune in to see Roman immediately smash his $1,000 phone.
that's not happening.
Well, he's getting both the 10s and the 10s Max. So we just
Yeah.
smash them against each other to see which one's stronger.
Yeah.
That's true. We can
Right.
Thunderdome.
Right.
Like smash them until one of them breaks.
Right, because they're still under warranty, so I could
Oh
just
yeah.
return them afterwards.
Hey, it came
I
like that.
did an
It came like this.
unboxing. You can edit the video so that it'll look like when I unbox it, the phone's already broken in
Yeah.
the box. 'Cause that way I could just show it the Apple Store guys. Look,
I don't know why I have video of this, but
right. So don't go see it on Macworld.com because I got it right here. So.
or do, because we could always use the view.
Oh, that's true. so yeah, we'll be doing an unboxing on Friday. Hopefully, check Twitter for when we'll be doing that. I'll probably try and tweet that out at least 30 minutes beforehand to get people a time to kind of get ready for it. So, and we have to set up too. So, yeah, so that's Friday. There was something else I was going to mention. Now I can't remember what it is. I just, my mind just went blank. So,
Real quick, Orly is just asking, how can we find you on Twitter? So Twitter is Macworld, but what are your individual Twitters?
yeah, so Twitter's at Macworld. I am at Pinatubo 2000.
Spell that.
P-
I don't.
Yes.
What?
It's PINATUBO 2000. And then your guys is
I am Leif Johnson. That's LeifJohnson. So easy. So
And I'm Jason Cross 00.
There was a comment earlier on YouTube that said, "Who's that cute guy in the middle?" That's Pig Pug who says that. So I don't know if you know Pig Pug.
yes.
Mom, get off! Get off!
That's a good yes.
Get off
Yes,
the.
Mom.
That's not mom. Hi, Judy.
So yeah, so the new iPhones will be hitting people's doorsteps on Friday. They'll
watches.
be loaded with iOS 12, which just started shipping on Monday. So yeah, as I said earlier, if you guys watching have any experiences with iOS 12, let us know in the comments of
I
Twitter.
haven't
and
heard
YouTube.
any big disasters so far. Like usually.
Unlike last year,
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
where there was some issues off the bat,
Yeah.
it's been a relatively quiet rollout.
I
for
have
iOS
not.
12.
Yeah, usually you start to hear a lot of noise on Twitter if a number of people are having big problems. Seen a couple minor people say a couple
Yeah.
minor bugs, like the search field wouldn't go away in settings or something.
Right.
But and which I haven't been able to replicate. But
What I've mostly heard is something along the lines of, "Wow, my phone feels a lot snappier.
yeah,
Yes.
Feels a lot
yes.
faster."
yeah, the faster bit, especially if your phone is not like an 8 or a 10.
Yeah.
If your phone is like a 6S
A
or
6S,
early,
yeah.
or 6, yeah, it's like super,
Yeah.
your phone's gonna be so fast.
I-
Your old iPad Air is gonna be
Yes.
like so much faster now.
Yeah. I was listening to the radio. There's this thing called a radio that's in my car. It actually streams shows that are similar to like podcasts.
Cool. Is it wireless?
But it is wireless
Nice.
technology. It uses wireless technology. And I was listening to a radio show on my drive to work like Tuesday morning, and they were talking about the iOS 12 update. And somebody was talking about their iPhone 6S Plus, and the people who were on the show were telling her not to upgrade yet. And I was sitting there going, no, don't.
But why?
You want to upgrade it? Well, they didn't explain why she shouldn't upgrade yet.
Okay.
But they were encouraging her not to upgrade yet, and I was like, "You have a 6S Plus, upgrade that, and you will see.
yes.
You'll be
You
so
will-
happy.
You'll be very happy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I probably could have called it, but I didn't. I was like, I'm not going to call it. So
I mean, it's not a bad idea to not upgrade right away. Usually,
Right.
just because, like, all right, if there's some critical bugs, the first
Yeah.
point release or whatever, the first double point release can shake it out.
yeah,
It's really been relatively bug free.
It's really been stable.
I mean, at least as good as the last iOS 11 latest,
right. The
whatever
latest
you
version
were
of iOS
on,
11,
you know?
right? Yeah.
So I think it's gone pretty well. You can never really tell until, 500 million people update their devices and
right.
About
Yeah.
2 weeks before it went live, though, there was this really annoying bug that every time you unlocked your phone, it said, you need to update to the newest thing, and you
Oh.
couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And so I was really scared because that was just 2 weeks like before it went live, and luckily it seems to be a lot more stable than that. Yeah, so
And the 12.1 beta, the first point release
yes.
beta, just dropped for developers.
Yeah.
the day after
Yeah.
Tuesday, just not dropped out.
Yeah, I usually tell people to wait for the first point release for an upgrade, but over the past couple of years, I've been like, no, you can go ahead and upgrade.
Live on the edge.
Yeah. So now I remember what I wanted to say
Oh,
back,
boy.
what,
Way back when.
2 or 3 minutes, 5 minutes ago about the iPhone, is about the cases for the XS.
Oh, right.
Right.
Yes.
The 10s.
Right, or the 10S,
It's
yes.
the XS. Come on.
So the 10S, the new 10S has essentially the same size and form as the 10, except the camera bump on the 10S is a little bit bigger.
Slightly taller.
Right.
Just
Very
like
minutely. Yeah.
half a millimeter or
Right.
something.
So some cases may find the cutout for the camera to be a little bit of a tight fit or ill-fitting somewhat. Maybe.
Yeah, if you used a 10 case on the 10S, that
Right.
the camera cutout might be just a little bit too small.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've told them before that the one difference between the 7 Plus and the 8 Plus, which you would think were utterly identical, they slightly,
Right.
ever so slightly move the Apple logo on the back. So you sometimes see this. So you know those ones where they have the cutouts where you can see the Apple logo. No, it would be like slightly eclipsed. So
Yeah, if it was a cutout one. So, like my particular case, it's got a little ridge around the camera and it's got
Yeah.
a little room already. So
Yeah.
I think it would fit. It would be fine. But then there's other cases where it's extremely precise.
Yeah, my case is really tight around the camera.
boy, it is.
So
Yeah.
this
Probably
chances
would
are
not.
this case is not going to work on the. On the
We're gonna
10S.
try it.
But
We're
we'll
gonna try
it,
out a
yeah.
handful of cases and report
Yeah.
back. And certainly, if you're buying skins, don't just think you can buy like a debrander slick wraps or
Right.
something. Don't just buy the 10 skin.
Yeah,
There will be,
yeah,
and those will always show because those are always cut so precise. And you'll have this little
Right.
gap, and it'll always draw your
Right.
attention. And
How many makers do you think are just going to put on a sticker that says, "Yep, it works on the
I was
10S"?
just gonna think that. I was just
Right.
thinking about saying
A
that
ton
myself.
are going to
yes.
clear
a
that.
ton.
Yeah.
I think a ton. I actually, and I saw a few case makers with cases for the 10R,
Mhm.
and they have a double cutout for the camera,
Oh, so they're just.
and it's the one camera will just be in there, and there'll just be a gap.
Oh god.
I don't know what.
That's
yeah,
some interesting
Yeah.
marketing there.
Either that or that was their early renders, and
Right.
maybe they'll have a chance to change it by the time the phones come out.
yeah,
Or something. But sometimes those case makers who build something before the phones
Right.
even come out, you can be rolling the dice a
Right.
little bit sometimes.
Yeah, I've been reviewing all the lenses for iPhones,
Yeah.
and I'm really wondering, the ones that use a case, how that's going to work.
Yeah.
Exactly. You want that to be really precisely lined up.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Because like Holoclip uses a case, right? Or
yeah,
some other lenses use cases.
yeah. So some have not confirmed whether or not it will work.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're still trying to make sure.
And that camera's different. It's got a slightly different real focal length
Right.
and its sensor size and lens geometry. So the lens may not look the same when you use it, even if it fits.
Yeah,
So
true.
there's going to be some issues.
Yeah, so we'll see how that
Yeah.
goes.
Yeah. So if you have an iPhone 10 with a case, and you're getting an iPhone 10s, just be ready to have to buy a new case
Yeah.
possibly.
And obviously the Max and the 10 are different sizes. And
Yeah.
obviously need. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I knew I was. I was like, oh wait a minute.
So just to jump back to the iOS 12 features,
yes,
yeah.
finally.
Finally, yes.
there was a question about accessibility.
Uh-huh.
What can you talk a little bit about accessibility updates? Were there any?
I mean, one thing that could be done, is it was the AirPods, where the live listen, that helps. It's not directly as far as interacting with the UI, but it's basically turns your AirPods into a hearing aid. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it was a feature. We did a video on it, and we have a guide on the site. But it's a feature that was built into the accessibility features for the made for iPhone hearing aids for a long time. But now if you have AirPods, you can use it as well. And it basically takes the mic from your phone and amplifies that and sends it to your earphones. So you can put your phone up by the TV that you can't hear well, or across the table at the person you can't hear in the restaurant, and get like a boosted.
Yeah.
I would say that was the biggest one.
That's the most obvious one, and that's the one I think that would benefit most the people who don't have specific accessibility needs. I don't know. I'm sure there are other tweaks to settings for people who have vision problems or, like mechanical problems and stuff moving.
Siri shortcut should really help too, because if that's set up properly, it would greatly simplify certain actions.
That's true. That's not billed as an accessibility feature, but it's going to be very useful.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then pretty much across the board, I'll just say that everyone's saying iOS 12 runs a lot better than iOS 11,
Yes.
and it makes their phones feel faster.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, for what that's worth.
Oh, yeah, that's been a big thing, and it was funny because for current content, I would sometimes have to go back to a device that was running iOS 11. I hated it. So, I mean, there was many things about it. Yeah, so it was a pleasure to go back to iOS 12, even though it was in beta at that point. So I like that feeling. Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you have any, have you guys discovered any, like hidden, I don't call them hidden features, but like stuff people may have missed, not the big stuff. We all know that you can, change your notifications, and stuff now, but do you have any favorites of like, oh, I discovered you can do this kind of stuff?
Yeah. So
That you like?
there's one feature that was actually introduced. I forget which version now, but it was something you could use on the iPhone 6s, so it's the ability. It was implemented through 3D Touch, and now the implementation has changed. So you could basically, what you can do is use the keyboard, the on-screen keyboard, as sort of like a trackpad for the cursor.
Right.
So to implement it now, what you do is when you have your keyboard up, is you press and hold down the space bar.
Yeah.
And then that brings up, and then all the letters on the keyboard basically disappear, and it's basically becomes a trackpad for your cursor.
Yeah. That's really cool when you have like a big block of text.
Yeah, and as editors as we are, and I know it's like in text messaging and stuff, people are a lot more lenient about misspellings and things like that, but as editors, it's something like we have to go in and fix because that's our nature. So, and for me, it's always kind of a pain to like you make a mistake and then you see it, but you've already gone like 4 or 5 words, and then you have to like try and tap and like So having that kind of like trackpad feature is I find it very useful.
It was so hard to use before because you had to 3D touch in. And it would enter the trackpad mode, and then you had to like click where you started to select, like keeping your finger on it, and slide your finger to where you wanted to stop, and then kind of click again.
Right.
That was really hard. It's much easier now.
Yeah. Now you just tap and hold down on the space bar.
And that's been around in iPads since like iOS 9.
Yeah.
You touch the keyboard with 2 fingers and wait a second, and and then you slide 2 fingers around. Because they don't have 3D touch. Yeah. And I have to check. I don't know if iOS 12 changed that to the spacebar holds as well, or if it's still 2 fingers on the iPad.
Yeah, so that's a feature that when I discovered it before, I would use it, but like you said, the implementation is just so kludgy that I stopped using it and went back to my frustrating, I got to get my pokey fingers. But now that they've re-engineered how it's implemented, I've gone back to using it, and I'm like, oh, yeah, this is
use it all the time. I often use Gboard, which if you use a third-party keyboard, that won't work.
Yeah, you have to. It has to work with Apple. It works only with Apple keyboard.
But Gboard has a similar kind of thing where if you just swipe left or right on the keyboard, it moves the cursor left or right like in an analog fashion. So you can very quickly kind of swipe left and right all the way up through multiple lines and stuff. So that's a good feat. That's a good different way to solve that problem.
And I'm often going on about using this as a work tool. Like you wish you could have some kind of Bluetooth mouse support or something like that. But that goes a long way towards kind of making up for that, I think.
Yeah.
And what do you guys think about the new maps? Because there's a little debate between Orly, Mike, and one other person. Sorry, I can't find it. Between the new app for maps and Waze.
I got to admit, in San Francisco, I feel it's always working at its best here.
Right.
So
Yeah, that's the thing is like people complain about Apple Maps a lot, but I live and work in San Francisco. I spend most of my time here, and it's always been fine. So it's kind of
talk to us from Goliad, Texas. And I would really want to know how it works.
Yeah, there's a lot of construction going on. So the test here in San Francisco will be how quickly do they change and update? Because that was the big thing is like the actual app itself hasn't changed much.
Right.
It's all the data layer. It's the graphics in the data layer, and they're taking all this third party. They used to have like 3 or 4 different third party providers for roads and buildings and all this other stuff, and cobbling it together. And if they had to make a change, they had to go to that provider, and they had to make the change. And now they own all the data, and it's all Apple's data, and they have a whole process for changing things very quickly.
Yeah.
So hopefully that'll impact that. It's changed in my area too, around Sacramento, and I've noticed a really big difference in the detail in a lot of areas where I'm driving around.
Nice.
Like so, I mean the major roads were always right, but like all the different buildings and stuff are drawn in a lot better than they used to be. But I don't think it's a lot. It's the changed parts of maps are not live outside of Northern California yet.
Right.
And they're all it's going to roll out piecemeal to the rest of the country and the rest of the areas that Apple Maps services over the next year. So, like if you live, I don't know where all our readers are, but if you live in Texas, who knows when the changes are coming to you.
Yeah.
Right.
So are people having a better experience with maps? It'd be interesting to hear what people are thinking about Apple Maps.
I don't think the comments are so much with the new update.
They're asking
but
about
it's
it,
like I think they're asking about because in the past, they're just like
Yeah.
F Apple Maps.
Well, I've often said that
better.
when I moved across the country, basically, I used Apple Maps to get here, and that was going to be like it was fine the entire way except for one little bit around Bakersfield, excuse me, and it took me into a little weird thing. But considering that was like 2,500 miles, it wasn't too bad. Yeah.
So there was actually a CarPlay announcement the other day.
Yeah, one of iOS 12's things is that they have an API for third-party maps in CarPlay, which everyone was super thrilled about. But the apps have to be updated too.
Yeah.
And Google Maps just got an update yesterday.
Yeah.
I actually used it driving out here today. So,
Oh, did you? Yeah.
Nice.
And it's fine. It's the full Google Maps you expect. You have all your lists. You can start one on your phone and then plug in your phone and finish it in CarPlay, and it's all the stuff you want.
Yeah.
That's so welcome too.
So yeah, that's good. And now we're all just waiting on Waze.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
Once we get Waze, I want my Waze points. I just love the community of Waze and how they like let you know there's a trash on the road or whatever, an accident up ahead or stuff like that. That stuff's great.
How active do you think people are still on that? I feel like
On Waze,
On Waze.
it's huge.
I mean, I feel like everyone uses it, but I don't know if people report it nearly as much as they used to.
It takes a lot of time out of your day.
It's a ton. Where I
It
live,
depends on where you live.
Yeah, I mean, there's the reporting is I've never run into anything where it was. In fact, it's over-reported. Sometimes you get something coming up and you get there and you're like, that's not here.
Right.
It's already been cleaned up and you have to hit the little no, this isn't there. But yeah, it's great out where I am.
John on YouTube says he's beta testing the Waze app. So I wonder what that means.
Waze does have a beta group, and they have a closed beta group. And I've read somebody in the closed beta saying they just added the CarPlay in the closed beta, and I don't know if it's in their broader open beta group that anybody can apply to be a part of. So I don't know if it's there yet, but they have a lot. I think they have more to do because of the way that you like report stuff and everything in the app.
Right.
They've they have more to work on, I think, to get their
Yeah.
CarPlay thing going.
So, Leif, do you have anything about iOS 12 that has stood out to you? Or
Well, for the privacy concerns, I thought the bit that you could turn off the bit where, the USB, things that were connected to it, that you
Yeah.
could turn it off, because that was the way that they have managed to get around some phones that were locked. And, I learned about that one actually with that article. But, I thought that was pretty darn cool that Apple is fighting a good fight with its privacy.
What,
So-
wait, what's the specifics of it? It's like you have an hour. Or
Yeah, you have
something
an
like
hour.
that?
Yes, I believe. Yeah, but as long as that is toggled on, it's toggled off by default. But
Right.
but yeah, if you don't want people getting access to your device through a peripheral USB device, yeah,
Yeah, an hour after your phone's locked,
hmm
USB will no longer work until your phone's unlocked, like USB access, data access. You can only charge. Right?
yes,
Yeah.
So this was the feature that was purported to be created to defeat the hacking box that.
That a lot of law enforcement.
You're right.
uses and
I
stuff.
I
Yeah.
couldn't remember if it was the FBI or if it was
Yes, it's
the
a lot of-
local
They sell
law
to a
enforcement.
lot of
Right.
folks.
It was it was sold. Yeah. So I don't know if
Gray
that's.
box, is it called? Something like
I
that.
can't remember what it
I
was.
want to
called.
say it's called Gray.
Right. Yeah, I don't remember the exact name, but that feature came out seemed to come out around the same time that box was making news.
yes.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So I don't know if there is a coincidence there or if that was
Oh, it's
And I don't know if they
tied in.
found a way around it.
Right.
They're very hush hush about, like it's this tug of war between that company wants to be able to break into phones because
Right.
that's the whole point of how they're selling their devices.
right.
And Apple wants to close every loophole, so they don't want to tell Apple
right.
we have what our loophole is that's letting us get in the thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I like that Apple, just keep pushing on this. There's a lot of that kind of privacy stuff
Yes.
in iOS 12. Like Safari is tighter about cookie tracking,
hmm
stuff like that.
Yeah.
So a lot of good stuff.
This is one thing where I think where Apple has realized that it has an edge, on privacy and stuff, and they're really pushing it. I wish they had done that with things like voice control and stuff when it was very clear that they had an edge. But this is one that Apple has actually latched onto and is trying to do something with it, and I admire seeing that. So, and yeah.
So Jason, you spent a lot of time with the iOS 12 beta.
Yeah,
Sure.
I was living in the iOS 12 beta. It's weird because iOS 12 just came out, but to me it feels like
It's
it
old.
came
Right.
out months ago,
Yeah,
and I have
What's
a
the
hard
big
time
deal?
remembering what 11 was like.
exactly.
Right.
Yeah, I really like it, and WatchOS 5, which
Yeah.
has been also really solid for a long time. I don't use a lot of the things like the new workouts,
Uh-huh.
but the
Yeah.
thing where it automatically detects you've stopped exercising and suggests, "Hey, you've stopped exercising. You want to end your
Yeah.
workout?" and like backtracks it, automatically start certain workouts. That I use all the time because I would always forget to stop it.
Yeah,
I'd
yeah.
leave the gym, I'd get home, and I'd go like, "Oh my god, it's still running!" So now it buzzes, it prompts me, I hit the button, it's fine.
Yeah.
My favorite little tweak that they added though is the control center on the watch. You swipe up from the bottom and you get theater mode and mute and
Yeah,
all that
yeah.
stuff. You can edit those buttons now. Their arrangement. So
That's
you
good.
slide all the way to the bottom. There's a little edit button. You can hit edit and you can press and hold and slide them around like you do app icons. Because the one I need is always way down.
Right. It's
and-
always the
yeah.
bottom one. Yeah.
So here's one I have to try out.
You're gonna walkie-talkie mic
Yes.
in the middle thing.
Yes, I am. Yes. Oh, it's not connecting because we have horrible Wi-Fi here. Why are you doing this? Okay. But I was going to bug Mike right in the middle of the
You
thing with
could
this.
walkie-talkie me, and it would be
Yes.
really weird
Yes, it would. Yes, but
because we're right here.
no, it just says connecting. So it's possible he has his watch off. That could be it. Yes.
There are a couple comments regarding security.
Sure.
One is still would really like to see a feature disable or enable the lock screen depending on your location. So if you were at home, it would just not lock when you're at
Yeah.
home.
Yeah, that like Android does.
And then Des on Twitter is asking about any kind of security software words like Malwarebytes or antivirus, that kind of stuff.
I'm not
Or-
aware of much in the way of real antivirus stuff
For
on
iOS.
for iOS
Yeah.
because
Mhm.
Because it's a
The-
closed kind of.
yeah, Apple has locked down the access to most of the operating system stuff that they would need to
Right.
to be effective. There's things that help with that are like cookie blockers and script blockers and stuff
Right.
that help help with privacy things about tracking online, but that's not really like antivirus.
And then there's
Right.
VPNs and such.
Right, and of course there's VPNs about like tracking your location. And,
Yeah.
you know, so there's those things you can do, but I'm not aware of like software that actually can, you know, detect and remove malware per se
On iOS.
without
I don't-
jailbreaking, which you don't really run into the problem of having it if you're not jailbroken.
Right, right. Yeah, because like there's no, I forget. I'm trying to think of what it's called, but like, you know how a lot of viruses and stuff they attempt to infiltrate your system through email,
Right.
but there's a way, and iOS kind of has a gatekeeper for that,
Mm-hmm.
I believe. So which kind of nullifies the need for like antivirus for that particular purpose.
Yeah,
so
I
to
mean, you can't
speak.
run unsigned executables. Signed
Right.
executables are sandboxed. I mean, there's all this like, and can't install something that's
Right.
root level, operating system level.
Right.
Like there, even with permission, there's no permissions to ask
Yeah.
like, for that. So there's really, it's locked down a lot more than say
Yeah.
Android is
Yeah.
in that regard.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I'm not even sure if I've ever. I don't even know if anyone makes that kind of software
Yeah,
for security
nothing
software.
that's just not just like, you know, privacy online
Yeah.
privacy stuff.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. If I go to malwarebytes.com, there is a /iOS.
Right.
So they make something.
I don't think it's it's too. It's one of the things my mom was
You don't
asking
even hear,
about that.
yeah, you don't even hear about people running it.
And usually,
Yeah.
when there is a vulnerability found, Apple is really quick about repairing it, and and I admire that too. So,
Like the most recent issues they've been having with some apps was that apps were taking your location data and they'd ask your location permissions, but they would, instead of just using the location data for their app's function, which is what they're supposed to do, they've been collecting it and then like reselling it, which is
Yeah.
against the terms, Apple's terms of service
Yeah.
for apps. But that's not like, it's not infecting or hacking your phone. It's the app is doing what it's supposed to do and with your
Right.
location data, but it's also collecting and selling
Yeah.
selling it, which is or sending it back to a server in China or something like that.
Right.
it's just CD basically.
Yeah.
So just to kind of move us along, what about early reviews that people have been coming out with?
Oh, right.
And because people did really want to know about the Apple Watch Series 4.
Yes. So there have been a few early reviews by the big outlets.
Quick-
So,
Quickly before we move on, I just want to say Malwarebytes, like I'm looking in the App Store, and it's all about privacy. It's about blocking scam calls and protecting your privacy. It's not a antivirus.
it's not really
thing,
yeah.
really.
Or
Okay.
anti-malware. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah. So some outlets like it was did the Verge get one? Got
Probably.
early phones?
Verge
like
got
They
one.
always get one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
Seen
actually a
that.
pretty good video review. I
Yeah.
watched their video review and it was pretty good.
Yeah.
And KBHD got one on YouTube.
Yeah.
Um,
I haven't
handful
seen
of
his
other
review. I
guys.
only saw his unboxing. So
I'm halfway into it.
Oh, yeah,
It's like
yeah.
paused though back at my desk.
yeah,
He always does a good job.
yeah. And I think
They
the
have a few
reviews are,
others.
you know,
Joanna Stern got one.
right.
so-
Joanna's at the Wall Street Journal.
I was gonna think it was Wall Street
Yeah.
Journal, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, the reviews are, you know, have been pretty glowing about the phone. It's a good phone.
And they say the
So-
camera is actually a pretty substantial
Yeah.
upgrade over the 10. So.
The consensus seems to be kind of like we said. It's if you have a 10,
Right.
it's a 10 that's like faster, but already the 10 is so fast you can't we wouldn't notice it's faster.
Yeah.
It's just like a much better camera,
Yeah.
which was already a good camera, and now it's
Right.
even better.
Yeah.
And that's it. And if you have a 10, it's hard to say, well, you just spent $1,000 last year. Upgrade to this one. I mean, they're
Right.
all kind of saying, no, don't upgrade from the 10 to this.
Right.
Unless
I'm
you're
doing
insane like
anyways.
all of us did, know, but
Yeah.
or just wait for the 10R and see if like everything you want, you really
that
want,
phone.
you'll get in that
Right.
phone. Which is kind of what we said. You
Yeah.
know, most people don't upgrade every year.
Yeah.
And if you have, if your phone's a couple years older or older, it's super awesome. It's a
Yeah.
10, but better.
Yeah. I think more and more people are waiting a little longer to upgrade. So
yeah, the
people are
high
waiting.
prices are.
Yeah, because the
making that.
prices are so high nowadays. So
And I think in a lot of ways they're getting like basically the Mac is. It's like, oh, it's like 4 years old and it still runs pretty well. So what's the point? Yeah. But we've had this discussion before though. But I think we use them much more for so many more things and much more intimately than we do a PC. So it's or a Mac. So it's I think it's more important to upgrade it sooner. It's cooler too.
and there have also been early reviews of this Apple Watch Series 4, and pretty much they're saying the bigger screen makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Which I think we all kind of
And
Seems
the
to make
really
sense.
highlight features like the EKG and stuff like that won't be coming until later. So that's interesting.
The EKG and the warning about irregular heart rate stuff comes in a software update. So that's two of the marquee features aren't dropping. And if you're outside the U.S., I don't know how many of our live viewers are outside the U.S., but if you're outside the U.S., you're not getting that EKG anyway. That's only a U.S. feature.
only
only a
US.
US feature. Yeah.
Yeah. I assume that's a regulatory thing, and they're working on it for other,
Yeah.
I forget what the
Markets.
European version of the FDA is, but I do know that it's like a lot easier to get stuff through them than it is to the FDA. So, it's interesting that it's not available over there yet.
That's a good point to bring up because Apple has does not have FDA approval. It has FDA. What is the word I'm looking for? Clearance or something like that. Which is very like FDA
different.
approval requires all this very rigorous testing.
Right.
FDA clearance, especially for what they call de novo, which means a really novel new thing, is pretty low, and it's a class 2 device. Like a pregnancy test is a class 2 device. Like this is not. So what it basically means is the FDA has said you can sell this and say that this is what it's for and what it does, but it's not a medical device. It is not a substitute for a medical EKG or something. And to get that even a 1-lead EKG, which is what it is, and to get that, they would have to do a whole lot more testing. Maybe they will at some point. But it's not, don't go in thinking that you can do this and it's like your doctor's EKG.
Right. I suddenly had the urge to start the rumor that Apple Watch Series 5 will have a pregnancy test. So we could start that rumor right now.
I'm calling the next thing is blood glucose. That's
Blood
Yeah,
glucose
definitely-
pregnancy test.
And they were talking about the glucose thing since the very beginning. That was part of the rumors.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a trickier
You can
feature.
you can
pull off.
buy a non-invasive blood glucose monitor.
Yeah.
Now that just shines a special light in your finger
Right.
and measures a certain way. I think it's probably all about how hard is it to do that on your wrist and as
And to do
opposed
it
to
at
your
a
fingertip and
Affordable cost, so it doesn't
and-
jack up the.
yeah, to get the accuracy right. They're probably working on it.
Yeah. Last night, I was trying to show my son something on my watch, and we were both sitting there like this going, all right, it'll come up any second now.
You have the OG. You have a Series 0. Right?
Yeah, I have an OG watch, so I was like, yeah, let me show you this. And then we were both like, and then I said, forget it. Just
I have a Series 2, which is like twice as fast as that, and it's still
it
lags
feels slow,
sometimes. Yeah. And the Series 3 got a lot snappier.
See,
Like,
I
a
was
lot
going to say
more
I have a
responsive.
Series 3 with cellular. I think the 4 is cool, but I have zero desire. Like, ooh, I got to go get it. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially since WatchOS added so many, 5 added so many cool things.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to getting, even though, I mean, maybe now, like I've said on this show before, I'm not a huge watch person. So
I mean, you're a huge watch person.
I am
But you're
huge.
not
I am
like
huge.
you like huge watches, but
Yeah.
you're not a huge watch.
I'm
person.
just not, I'm a huge person, not hugely into watches. Does that make sense?
I like watches. I'm just not into smart watches.
So,
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't even like quartz watches, to be honest with you. I don't want to
Oh, really?
replace a battery ever.
You want to wind it.
Yeah.
You want that
You like to
winding.
get up in the morning, and that's part of your routine is to wind a watch.
Well, this one is I like automatics just because then you
Oh,
don't
I
have to
see.
worry about it. But
Yeah.
but I would choose a wind over a quartz. Quartz are beautiful and they're cheaper, but
Yeah.
I used to be so affected. I would carry a pocket watch. So
Yeah.
everybody gets quiet.
nerd.
I have a pocket watch too. It's my phone.
Phone. That was like the 90s, though. Yeah.
So, But yeah, I'm actually kind of excited about this series for watch. So mostly because, as I was saying, this watch just feels so slow.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
So-
you can't get any of those WatchOS 5 features because
Right.
it doesn't support the Series
Right.
0.
Yeah.
I think you might actually like, when you get the 4, I think you will appreciate how much faster. everything
Yeah, I
is.
think
yeah.
I might,
Yeah.
I might use my watch a little more because of the speed and the new features. So, yeah.
On Twitter, Des says, "I like a watch with Roman numerals."
Apple apparently likes to name their phones with Roman numerals too.
Numerals,
So,
There you go.
And mixed Roman numerals and
Mixed
letters.
Letters,
X-
yes.
Just
So-
all together.
yes. So,
Whatever.
yeah, they need to come up with a watch face. They don't have a watch face with the Roman numeral numbers. do they?
I was wondering. I think I was thinking like maybe some of the Hermes ones, but no, it's just Arabic on that one too. But yeah, I have to admit, when I first got my Apple Watch, that was what I looked for, was one of Roman numerals. So
And with the incorrect 1111 for the 4
Right.
instead of
That's right,
one
the
4
watches.
V
Wait,
or
really?
IV.
yes, some watches, do it with the 4 lines.
So,
Yeah.
but we still don't have third-party watch faces.
No,
Correct.
Unless you have like a Nike watch or a Hermes, it's where you have to have a special.
Right. They
Partners.
just come built in with the one you bought. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, do you think we'll ever get that? I don't know.
It'd
You know-
have to be a special deal like that, I think.
Yeah, I have to think at this point they're not. Apple's
Yeah,
not
we're
going to
already
do it. I
5
think they're all about the
generations.
complications and stuff.
Right.
No.
I
Yeah.
have to admit, I think the Hermes one is very attractive, but the watch face. But I'm not going to spend that much money. just
Yeah,
to get
$1,200.
Yeah.
Like you spend an
For a watch
extra. It's like an extra $600 because they're only stainless steel. So it's like the stainless steel
Yes.
plus $600 for a watch face and an admittedly nice leather band, but still that's
Yeah.
Yes.
not $600 to me.
No.
I'm kind of surprised that they still have Hermes as a partner because
I don't know how many of them they sell, but it's got to be
Exactly.
worth it.
Mm.
exactly. I don't know how many they sell. It doesn't seem like, at least to me, it doesn't seem like they would sell a lot of them.
It's like
It's
the
just
last
gotta-
bit of the luxury fashion.
It's
bit.
got to be that it's just so easy,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
It's a slightly different software package they throw on there.
Right.
Like that just says like yes, Hermes yes, and unlocks the watch
Right.
faces, and then you put a different band in the box.
Yeah.
So it's got to be that,
Mhm.
Right. There's no huge overhead to creating it.
right? There's
Yeah.
no like massively different supply chain or
Right.
anything like that.
Yeah.
Chance on YouTube says people who bought the gold version of the original watch are suckers.
Yes, they
Yeah.
are. It's like selling for like $300 now.
17 grand or something. You can't even run Watch OS 5. We all said that. Like we
Yes.
said, like there were that
Right.
the stainless. We were like, this is real expensive, but this is going to be updated every year, maybe every
Yes.
other year. It's going to be obsolete before you know it.
Right.
And this
It's
is
not like a
round
regular.
one.
Yeah. It's not. And and this is the first one. It's not like a regular watch. And they now have a gold color. Well, they've had a gold color aluminum
Uh-huh.
for
Yeah.
Series 3 and stuff. Now there's a gold color stainless steel you can get. It's just color. It's not actual gold plated or anything. But it looks really good.
Yes.
Yeah. It's now one of those items that be coveted by, the people who are really into old tech.
Yeah, the
Um,
collectors,
the
the old tech
collectors and
collectors.
stuff.
Yeah.
So,
How much do you think that watch is worth now?
how much did it retail for?
17 grand, I think.
Yes, I've been saying there were some when I was looking up that
1700?
article when I was talking about how good riddance to the Apple Watch store. Yeah, there were some people that are selling them for like $400 now.
I'm gonna look
gold
on
one?
eBay real
Yes,
quick.
The gold one.
Really?
Yeah.
The melt weight's worth more than
So
that.
it was possible to find them selling for that little.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know what they made a big deal when it was launched about the amount of gold that was in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the melt weight of that much gold is like 10 grand worth or something.
right.
I don't remember what the numbers. People did the math and figured it out and said like, well, this is actually a substantial amount of gold,
Mm-hmm.
and you're nuts for spending this on a watch.
Yes.
I wish I used to go through when Apple announced new products, go through and kind of archive the pages on their website.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And then I stopped doing that just because I kind of forgot to
you
do
can
it.
go to wayback.org and they've got
Yeah, and it's on oftentimes it's on Wayback.
Wayback.
So it's now I wish I would have done it for that particular watch just so I could see
Mhm.
the marketing for it and things like that. Because, yeah, that was one of those head-scratching products that, this is a market that I have no familiarity with.
It was probably smart in the sense that they wanted it to be taken seriously as a watch, as a fashion piece, as not just an accessory for your iPhone, but something that a real-time piece people would really care about.
Right.
People, watch nerds would care about and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, see, I wrote an editorial on this, and that was one of the things I didn't like, is that, Apple, well, you could call it a luxury product or premium products. They're expensive, but there is kind of this idea behind it that it's like technology for everyone and stuff. And it's like, yeah, you're paying a bit more, but it'll last you a while, and it's good, and it can do all these great things. That, for me, was one of the first signs of Apple, like, really becoming, look at us, we're luxury. And I didn't like it. It didn't really fit Apple's image.
Yeah, it's not that, quote, affordable luxury. It's like a luxury product you can all buy. Here's a luxury product you can't all buy.
Yes, exactly.
There's a luxury product that costs more than your car.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no one's selling it on eBay right now.
Yeah,
The gold one.
Yeah.
The gold Series 0.
Yeah.
Not surprised.
Yes. Wow. Yeah, you probably just want to get rid of it. So, yeah.
Well, kind of like the gold watch, we're kind of out of time.
But I'm gonna interrupt you real quick because Peyton on YouTube really wants a shout out. So Peyton, here's Peyton on YouTube.
Peyton,
There's your shout.
watching
There's your shout.
your Apple Watch.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so that just about does it for this week's episode of the Macworld podcast. I'd like to thank Leif and Jason.
Hey.
Thank Dan, our producer.
You're always welcome.
I'd like to thank you, the audience, for participating. Thank you for your comments and questions. We're doing an unboxing video this Friday. Stay tuned to Twitter when we'll do it, because it all depends on the FedEx guy. I'll also post an entry on the homepage that basically will be to the Twitter link. So if you go to our homepage, you should be able to get to our Twitter feed for the video. Kind of like I do for our polls, for people who visit our homepage, you'll know what I'm talking about. So I'll post an entry on our homepage as well to our Twitter feed for the video for unboxing this Friday. We regularly do our podcast on Wednesdays at 10 o'clock Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. I'm not going to go to Hawaiian time because I always forget if it's 2 or 3 hours.
Depends, yeah.
And we'll post the topics for that. We'll probably, since we'll have hardware by then, we'll probably talk about hardware next week, so a little bit more. So
Definitely. Like impressions.
Yeah, and by then more people will have gotten their hardware. So, we'll hope you guys will join us next week. We can talk more about your experiences with the iPhone and stuff. And I'm sure there'll be other news-related topics that'll arise between now and then. So. But yeah, hopefully you can join us on Friday. If not, join us next Wednesday for the next episode of the Macworld podcast. That does it for this week's episode 622.
Yep.
622 episodes. So that does it for this week's show.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
It's like, it's 622.